Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power Man Podcast. My name's Rory Paquette. You guys all know that already. I am, as always, your very grateful host. And, folks, today is absolutely no different. I am so incredibly grateful for what you folks have been doing lately. Ever since we made the shift to 5 days, you folks have just shown up in huge numbers. Love you for that. If you're not out there sharing and commenting and sending DMs and everything that you're doing, then I don't get to sit over here and do what I'm doing. So again, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. If you have not commented on the show or sent a DM, hey, reach out to us on Instagram at Power of Man Podcast on Instagram. You can send us an email, powerofmanpodcast@gmail.com. And you can always find me on Facebook under my name, which is on the screen now. It's in my show notes. If you don't know my name by now, well, you're in trouble. So, folks, thank you very much again. Let's keep moving. If you're a friend of the program, and I know you are, then you know what time it is. It's time for us to pay a few bills. I got to take a sip of my preferred beverage. Just made another hot cup of that right before we got going. You guys know what we're drinking. That's right. It's Freedom Hill Coffee at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. Look them up, check them out. Deep, dark, rich, bold, and beautiful. Just like my wife. They brew a mean bean. It's a mean cup of joe. They do all the right things for all the right reasons, and they support veterans, which is why we support them. You folks all know how important veterans are to the Power Man podcast. I know a ton of you guys are out there listening to us right now. Respect the hell out of all of you, and I'm really glad that you're here with us. And we have one with us today who's going to talk about some very, very cool stuff. I think you guys are going to really enjoy this episode. Give me one more sip of this so I can keep up with this young buck in front of me on the other side of the table. Freedom Hill Coffee, guys, at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. Check them out. Tell them Power of Man sent you. All right, here we go. With us today, all right, the CEO of Sharpen the Spear Coaching. Does that tell you where we're going? If that doesn't tell you where we're going, guys, you don't know me in this show. Author of the book Escape the Owner Prison. He's a podcaster. That's right. That's another reason why I like this guy. He's one of us. He's a podcaster of the show called Sharpen the Spear. Folks, as if all of that was not enough, he's a Marine. He's a champion boxer and a black belt. But more important than any of the rest of that, this guy is a husband and a father of 6 kids. And I cannot wait to introduce you to this guy. So please join me in welcoming Richard Walsh to the program. Richard, how you doing, sir?
I am awesome, Rory, and just honored to be here. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you being here today. I told you I was going to do this, so here we go. All right, Richard, go ahead and tell our audience, who is Richard Walsh? What are you about, and what brings you here today, brother?
Yeah, so we're going to jump back a little bit. Coming out of the Marine Corps back in the late 80s, 87, I started the business. I started working, swinging a pickaxe, like digging trench for $5 an hour. It's like to tell people today, I think if you only pay someone $5 an hour, you go to jail. I'm not sure how that works today because everyone needs 15 or more for doing nothing. So, but again, I'm a business guy, so we're gonna hit these highlights. So I'm doing that. I literally swinging a pickaxe all day. There's a guy cleaning the trench out behind me as I dig, and a guy came up and asked me, "Hey man, I've got a little side gig for you. Would you be interested in doing it? At my house?" So I said, "Yeah, sure." So I spent my last $85 on a wheelbarrow and a shovel because he had some rock he wanted me to move. We're down in Tucson, Arizona. So I show up over to his house and he's got 35 tons of gravel in the street. And he goes, "This needs to go to the backyard and be spread." I go, "I got this. It's only like 100 degrees out, okay, in the middle of the summer." So I just start shoveling. 10 hours later, Lord, this thing's done, spread, finished. I'm in the street. He walks out, puts $1,000 in my hand. Okay, now I'm looking at this going, I did this yesterday for $40. Okay, I know my future. Okay, I am going to work for myself. This is the only way to go. Okay, I could do one of these jobs a month and be okay. Okay, so that was the start of landscaping, which then became custom water features. I niched into custom water features, ended up adding steel sculpture to it because I thought that'd be cool. Ended up becoming an internationally recognized steel sculptor, doing world-class exhibits and building these water features. And that was really humming, going great for 20 years. And then that famous 0809, and for me specifically, November 5th of 2008, the day after the election, my phone started ringing. I lost $500,000 in that day. Okay, people canceled, and that was the beginning of the cliff.
Yeah.
So we limped through part of '09, and then it got to be like, yeah, I think this is over. There's nothing. Okay, now I tried some dumb things to keep things going. Those didn't work. Now I'm We're at the end. Okay. But here's the thing. I'm all about my business, all about being number one. I've been in magazines and TV and winning awards and world class stuff and all this stuff, but it wasn't really paying attention to the business as much as I was paying attention to myself, getting awards and doing the next great thing. And I'm laying in bed one day and all this stuff is collapsing. We're going to lose our home, everything. I got 6 kids, 4 years and younger at this time.
Wow.
Okay, so it's a tight little group, and I had this epiphany, and I'm laying in bed. I'm thinking about my 6 kids, and I'm saying, they really don't care like what I do for a living. They don't care how many trucks I have. They don't care what kind of house we live in. All this stuff. You know what they wanted? Me to be around, which I couldn't be around because I'm working. Especially now, I'm trying to save this business, so I'm working endless hours. One day, I'm leaving in my truck, and here's my 4-year-old running behind the truck crying because I'm leaving
Oh,
as I'm pulling out of the driveway. And hey, I got business to do. I just watched them get smaller and smaller in the rearview mirror, went and did my thing. And I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, you know what? And this is God's grace. I'm going to tell you right now. He gave me this window to the future that said, if you stay on this path where business is first and it's everything that you do, right? And it matters over everything. Okay. He said, your children are going to grow up. They're going to have broken marriages, failed relationships. They may be good at business, but the rest of their life's going to be trash. Okay.
wow.
And I'm like, that's on me because more is caught than taught, right? My kids, I can tell them all the right things. They're only going to do what they see you do. So newsflash for everybody. If you don't walk that talk, you're just wasting your breath. Your kid, I guarantee you. Okay. And it might not be till they're 30 when things get bad, they're going to fall into the old stuff that you did. So I got up, okay, walked in the office, said, we're done today. I'm not doing this anymore. I went to my construction yard, saw my guys. They've been the same guys who were working with me for like 10 years. Had our last cup of coffee, and I'm like, guys, we got to wrap this up. I can't do this anymore. What I realized, Roy, was my whole identity was wrapped up in my business. So it was called Rick Rock. I go, if I wasn't wearing a hat, a shirt, driving the wrap vehicle, whatever, I didn't exist. I read that this was part of that epiphany too. And I'm like, okay, well, that's really bad because it makes you make a lot of bad decisions. Okay, because you're trying to stay out front, right? So with that, I'm like, okay, I'm shutting everything down. Then everyone's like, well, what are you going to do? I go, I have no idea, but I'm not going to do this. I'm not ever going to build another water feature. I'm never going to do another sculpture. And it's been 15, 16 years, and I haven't done one since. Now we had to relocate. We had to move to another state, find a place, get there, kind of start all over, right? Like, what am I going to do? I still don't know what I'm going to do, right? So I love to train. I'm a fitness trainer. I'm a boxer. I'm all this stuff. So I go, well, I'll go to the Anytime Fitness and I become a trainer. They don't really have trainers. I built a program, got really good. Next thing you know, I'm trainer of the year for Anytime Fitness. Okay. So you know what that means to an entrepreneur? I got to go open a gym.
Oh, yeah.
So I open a boot camp style training gym, do all body weight, create like a belt system. It's awesome. We scale that. Then I move into construction. I start doing roofing, siding, windows, and I grow that. So now I'm doing all this really cool stuff, right? And now, but my goal here, Rory, was, okay, how do I do this? I'm not doing the other stuff. I get what that, got me into. I said, but I ended up with this simple goal, like, okay, because we're going to homeschool our children too the whole way. So that's our plan, was to homeschool our kids. And I said, okay, if my wife calls me, I need to be able to be there in 15 minutes. That's my goal. Like my overall, like if I can do, how do I build a business like that? Okay. And I did it, and it was awesome. So I did that. I did those 2 businesses, started helping other people. Right. So like other guys in business, I said, how'd you do that? How'd you go from all that to nothing back to this? And I started asking them, well, what are you doing? And then I start help this guy. All of a sudden I see all these patterns. They're the same patterns. Every business is doing all the same wrong things. So that became my mission. Hey, I'm going to write a book. So I wrote Escape the Owner Prison, right? It became a bestseller, and I built an academy around it and started coaching and training. We went through a couple iterations on that. We're at Sharpen the Spear now. So now we are honing entrepreneurial warriors on the battlefield of business. That's what I do. Have homeschooled my kids all the way through. My oldest is in the Marine Corps. Go figure. I have a 20, 2 19s, 2 18s, and a 17-year-old.
Wow.
That's where I'm at right now. So it's that's kind of brings us up to speed where we're at now, but that was the whole journey. And now my biggest joy is helping business owners get their businesses squared away so they can have what I call the 5 F's, right? Faith, family, finance, fitness, and friendships. Because a business destroys marriages. Okay. I call it like a mistress. Okay. It can be just wicked. It ruins a lot of families because you're giving everything to it, right? It's always calling you. It always wants your attention if you don't do it right. Right. So it's destroyed a lot of stuff. And you get into business, Rory, to for freedom and to be with your family and go see all your kids' games and your daughter's recitals and right. And you never go to any because I'm getting the business going, right? So you're doing all this stuff the first 2 years. Next, 10 years goes by and you repeat the first 2 years 5 times. You're on a hamster wheel.
Right.
Okay. So that's kind of brings up the speed where we're at now. And then I'd love to just talk about we'll just keep moving here. But um, the family dynamic for me, that epiphany in the beginning, Rory, was big because my dad was a super hard worker, worked all the time, like had 3 jobs, but he was a golf course superintendent. He just was never seen to be around. He's always seemed to be working. So on the plus side, I got an incredible work ethic. I will outwork anyone. Okay. I mean, I had shirts made for my son and some other guys. We were training for Junior Olympics, and it says, "We outwork your talent every day." That's what it said. Okay. And then for his glory on the shoulder. Okay. But it was that kind of thing. So I knew that I didn't want that because I had a bit of an abusive mother, not a bit, but a lot, and my dad eventually had apologized for me not being around. He just didn't want to be around my mother. I'm like, but you left her with us. Left us with her. I mean, well, hey, but we reconciled that kind of stuff. My mom has since passed away and stuff. But my whole thing, Rory, was really like it had to be a very conscious effort, a full 180, okay, to be able to like not do what I saw. Because I was messed up. I had to go to therapy. I did all kinds of stuff. I didn't get married until I was 34, because
Wow, really?
I had like I had our first child at 39. Okay. So I appreciate you calling me a young buck when we started. Okay. Yes, I'm more like that big deer in Bambi, the one that died in the fire. Okay.
He was like almost like a ghost. He was like revered,
That's
through the whole movie.
there you go. See, there you go. That's me.
So there you
No,
go.
but that's kind of where it all went. So I really had to make this super conscious effort to be, to not do what I know.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was quite a challenge, but I'll stop there.
Hey, you don't need to stop my account. You do a great job. This is one of those where I don't have to do any work. I'm just sitting here letting you
Right.
tell a great story and be like, hey, that's it, folks. See you later. Have a
Yep.
good day. I love your story. Unfortunately it sets off some bells and whistles in mine because
Mhm.
we have similar stories in a lot of ways. All the way down to the years where everything started to kind of collapse. So that
Yeah.
that was an interesting time. Just
It
kind of
was. It
leave it
was.
at that. But
It's
yeah.
what was interesting about it for me. You look and we love hindsight, right?
Oh yeah.
Hindsight always serves us so well. You can write books about it, you can do all kinds of cool things. So if you go through the fire, you get to some failure, but you don't die. It's great. Okay. So now we look back at that time, and I'm telling you, like that is what had to happen. There's no other solution at that time, like at the right time. Like like I could never have planned it or anything else. It's just one of those providential moves of God. Like, and like here, I guess all you understand is zero.
Yeah.
That's all I understand. I'm a Marine. I'm a little thick. Okay. So I don't ask for help. I just power through and I keep going. I keep going. I have a lot of grit that way, but that was the only thing that was going to change, who I was at the time. So yeah, it was good.
It's a great
Yeah.
way to
I
look
think,
at it. It's a
yeah.
great way to look at it. I try real hard to maintain that same. It's funny you said that. I try really hard to maintain the same outlook. My whole crash brought me to the point where I actually could accept God. And up until that point, I had a really hard time with that. I really did.
Well,
So it had to happen.
speaking of
Uh,
that, go figure. So at the time in '08, I was what I call a CINO. You know what a CINO is? A CINO is Christian in name only.
Oh, like a rhino.
like a rhino, but it's a
I got you.
Sino.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure I came up with that. But I go to church. I'm a Christian. As far as I knew, according to the pastor that I sat in front of with 1,000 other people who never said you need to be saved or born again, who never mentioned that ever on a Sunday. So I figure I'm good to go. So lost everything, had to move, right?
Yeah.
Left from Illinois to Wisconsin, said, oh, I guess we got to find a church. Well, we found the right church to begin with, right? Went through a couple, but all of a sudden, one day I'm on my computer, I'm typing away, and my wife comes up, she goes, "What are you doing?" I go, well, "I'm emailing Pastor Tim." She goes, "What about?" I go, "Well, about being saved." She goes, "What about it?" I go, "Well, everyone's got these dates. They got this date, like May 27th of 1965. I came to the. I'm like, I don't have a date. I go, "Do you have a date?" She goes, "Yeah, I got a date." And I'm like, well, she goes, she looked at me and she goes, "I don't even know you." Okay. I'm like, well, everyone's got this day. I don't even know what this means. So I'm asking this pastor at the time, and he was a seminary guy. So he couldn't give me the simple answer. So
Right.
I get this like 3-page email. I'm like, this is way complicated. Okay. So he didn't really have the simplicity, the gift of simplicity. Right. So eventually I figured it out. Okay. I get it. Going through all this stuff. Now I'm like, oh, this is really different. Really, I thought I was, living a good life, and even as a believer, I do my best. No one is good. None.
Right.
But here we are, right? So, but now I'm like, okay, now I'm focused. Now where are we going to go? Where are we going to raise these kids? Like in what church, et cetera, et cetera. But the homeschooling thing was a plan before we even had kids, right? Oh, let me give you you want you want to know why I have 6 kids under 3, 4 years old?
I have a note here to ask about that. I thought maybe it was a mixed marriage or something,
I,
but
I no,
or you're really fast.
I don't want to steal your thunder. So if you want to ask, you can, if you want to be able to check it off your list that you
There's
asked
no
it.
thunder here, brother. You go right
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. Quick story. Here it is. So like first 5 years of marriage, we're having trouble conceiving, all this stuff. Like, okay, well, wife goes, why don't we go in the foster care program? Okay, let's do that. So we do all our classes, we do all this stuff, and then we wait like 6 months after all that. And then the phone rings. I get it. Well, my phone rings. It's my wife. She goes, hey, they're bringing the baby over. They're going to be here in 45 minutes. I'm like, oh, like baby. She goes, yeah, he was born yesterday. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. So I race home in my car, and here's this. They come with a little baby seat and the baby in it and a little bag, and you go, here you go. All right, see you later. And it's little D'Angelo. Okay, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Well, and the agency's like, you'll probably be able to adopt them and whatever, because the mother is drugs and prostitution and burglary and all this stuff, and she's already had 2 other kids, and this is her third kid, and she's like 20 or something. So whatever, we never get to meet her, and then okay, great. So shortly after that, my wife gets pregnant. Then we have our daughter. Okay, like 10 months later, because
Mhm.
that's how it works, right? So we have that, and then we bring her home. The day we bring her home from the hospital, ring ring, yeah, the mother of D'Angelo had another baby, had a baby boy. I said, well, we'll take him, bring him over. So he was born a couple months premature, so we took him. Okay, cool. So we're doing in vitro, right? So we're doing in vitro. So my wife goes, well, let's do in vitro again. Maybe we'll get twins. Okay, that's her thought process. So my wife kind of likes kids. So do I. But so we do in
I
vitro,
hope
and guess
so.
what?
I really hope so.
So we do in vitro, and guess what? We have twin boys. Okay, like
Wow.
nine,
Okay.
10 months later. Okay, so and then we bring them home. Then shortly after, ring ring, phone rings. Hey, the mother of D'Angelo and Augustine had another baby, had a baby girl. I'm like, okay, we'll take her too. So bring her over, a day old. So bam, there's 6 in like 3.5 years. Okay, so it was wild, and yeah, you can imagine.
When I heard the number, my only real guess was okay, mathematically, I don't think this adds up, but I can't do the math that quick right now. But I'm like, there's
Right,
no way. So I
right.
figured, okay, either it's twins of some kind or it's some kind of adoption. But you did all of them. You like all the above. It was like
Yeah,
everything bang.
it's yeah, it's crazy. And it was, and it's when I met my wife and we're talking, she goes, well, I gotta have children. Like that was one of the prerequisites. I go, well, I like kids, and I'm gonna be completely transparent here. she was like, okay, she's 9 years younger than me, unbelievably beautiful. Do you think I'm going to say no?
Yeah, I hope not.
Okay. She's there. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay. Whatever you want, so I'm just, but of course I don't have a problem with that, but to kind of go back to like being the wrong person, becoming the right person, all of my friends, there's not a lot, but there's some, they all lost money on me because they never thought I'd get married.
Oh, really?
Definitely never thought I'd have 6 kids. Okay. The whole thing, like the whole who I am today, like they just shocked, like I could do all this.
No kidding.
Like, yeah. So it's just, it's that transformation, like you said, like I was already getting there, but that born again experience, that sanctification process, being in the word every day, living this, it changed everything that I was. It had to.
Yeah.
That's who you are, right? I mean, yeah, it's
Well, God
awesome.
gives us what we're supposed to have, I mean, so, I
Yes.
mean, you reach a point in your life where you realize those aren't just words because you're looking back on your life going, yep, right here is where that happened. And right
Yep.
here is where that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 5 years later, right here, that's where that happened.
Yeah.
So
Incredible
for sure.
encounters. Yeah. Incredible encounters with God, with the right people, the right mentors, the men of influence who
Mhm.
were able to really guide me and help me and brought me to new levels. I mean, I've been just so incredibly blessed that way. It's just I lead a men's Bible study called the Remnant, so we do that here at my co-working space. I have a conference room upstairs, and we use that. And I was head of the men's ministry at church. I'm not anymore. And then I was security and head of security and doing this stuff, right, which is all good, And I'm just gonna make a statement here. I'm not really a ministry guy. Okay, and
Okay.
let me explain.
Now you got to qualify that because
Yeah, okay.
it
So
doesn't fit the first three
like
things you told me.
right. No, the small group like men's Bible study, I kill it. Men's ministry, like the head of men's ministry, I'm good at one thing, but I don't operate well in the church ministry.
Hmm.
Remember, I'm a business guy.
Okay.
Okay. I I run things. I do things. I delegate. I do stuff like that, which you do in the church. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of it is very subjective. What I found, and
Hmm.
this may not be true at every church, but
Okay.
like I'm a standards. I like standards. I like rules. I like people to do what they have to do, right? And I'm pretty much a no excuse guy. Like I'm not a big fan of excuses. So that doesn't really go well in the church. Okay. I'm just I'm just saying I realized after some time, like I'm gonna just step down and I'm gonna focus, on my family and you know what they all say. Oh, I'll get more family time. That wasn't it, but I'm building a business. I'm doing all that stuff too. So, but it's okay because you have to know your limits, right? Like in those situations. And again, a different church maybe is a whole different situation. And I love my church, love it. It's spirit filled beyond belief. It's just I love it. It's awesome. I'm
That's
just
great.
not the guy to do those things. Okay. I covered for children's ministry. My wife ran the children's ministry. Well, we both did, which means she did. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Because I'll just walk the hall and look important. Okay. I'll just be a figurehead and I'll
You're
pray
back
for
in
everyone.
security again. It's basically.
Yes, I'm going to go do that. Uh, but they put me in like to help the youth because they had kind of a vacancy. I'm like, oh yeah, that's not quite my thing. I'm not a fun person. I don't do fun, And my kids one time they grabbed my phone like, Dad, you don't have any games on your phone. I go, because Daddy don't play games. That's why I don't ever play games. You ever see me play a game? No. Okay. Have I ever played a video game? No. Right. I don't play games. Okay, so I'm on my phone. But so I got these kids that I let them kind of they're doing whatever they do for the first half hour. Then I had this saying. I said, learning time. I just shouted out, it means come to the center of the room, sit down, we're gonna learn something. But I'd have these really awesome discussions. I go, okay, what are you getting hit with at school? What are they talking about Christians? Come on, what are they asking you? Tell me. I'm gonna help you out. So we just did kind of almost like apologetics, right? But at their level. It was really fun for
Nice.
me.
It was fun for
So,
me.
yeah.
My kids made it through,
But
but it was fun
they
for me.
they they did it. There wasn't that many kids, but now they have an awesome program. A buddy of mine, another Marine, is running the whole thing. He's young, he's whatever he is, 34, 35, and he's just killing it. I'm so proud of him, man. It's just awesome, and the kids actually like it. I was a placeholder. That's all I was. And after about a year, I'm looking at the pastor like, dude, are we working on this? Because this isn't good for the kids. Okay.
I love your aside, and the kids
Well,
actually like it.
yeah.
It's just good.
But yeah, so it's
Interesting.
just, yeah, you get to kind of apply these things, and I try to bring that wisdom and stuff to it. But I'll tell you, our small group men's Bible study,
Hmm.
that's where the magic happens.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. It's kind of like these podcasts. I don't have anything planned. Like we show up, man, maybe we're going to hit a topic. Maybe we never get to the top. Maybe we start on the top and go a different direction, but it really
Sure.
is helping each other out biblically, taking biblical application and applying it to like what's going on in their lives, praying for each other, lifting each other, holding each other accountable. We might have six guys around the table and it's just, it's an amazing time. It'd be an hour and a half, just sharing the word, really digging into this stuff. And you really get to see the change that way.
Hmm.
So I've never been like, hey, I need to, change 10,000 people's lives and whatever. I kind of, but I like it that one at a time. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that small group. There's so much power in a small group. We just put it together and hey, guys might be there for a month or two and you don't see them again for another couple of months, but they come and I'll give you an example if I may.
Yeah. Please.
We had a guy and I invited him. He's here. He's actually a client of mine now, but before he got his, I go, man, you can come to our Bible study, man, 6:30 Thursday night. So he comes and he's sitting there and we're talking about this stuff. And all of a sudden he starts sharing, right? Oh, I separated his wife, this. And we're kind of digging into stuff. And all of a sudden he stands up, right? And he's like, I can't do this. Like, he's like tearing up. He's crying. He's like, I can't. And he's shaking. He like starts to leave and goes, we're like, hey, man, well, can we just pray for you before you go? He's like at the door of the conference room, like walking out, right? And he just stops. He goes, we'll just pray. And then you can take off. So he sat down. We prayed for him. He left like an hour later.
Nice.
Okay, like he stayed, man. And now he's in counseling for his marriage. We're working with doing. It's like that's what it's about. Like
Interesting.
again, saving the family. And we've had to walk through some hard stuff. There's some hard conversations going on with stuff. I'm not going to go into more detail, but it's those things are powerful. Those gatherings,
Yeah.
like that, we're two or more gathered, right? Christ is there, man. And we need to know that the power of that spirit in that room that day was incredible. Like that, like
That's
all of us, we
awesome.
talk about like, dude, that was like amazing. Like that's a move of God right there. It was really cool.
That's powerful. Now I'm guessing most of my listeners have an idea of what a Bible study is. But I'm curious because I've been a part of several, and all of them have been very different
Right.
from the other ones. So you would think a Bible study would be you go in and you're studying the Bible, right? And reading
Mm-hmm.
about it and maybe trying to apply it to real life. But depending on who's running the group and then also on the people in the group, um, the good one that I was at, the person running it really sort of tailored it to who was there and what they needed.
Right.
What do you do with your group your Bible study group so that people have an idea of what an effective Bible study group is about?
So I said we may have a topic. So me and my I'll call my co-host Matt. Okay, like we'll like maybe have a topic. We'll hit some or heard something in the sermon. We listen to it. Like, okay, let's talk about that. Okay, yeah, sounds good. So we get there and depends who comes. We like start talking a little bit. We do a little whatever hellos, and it's again real casual. It's in this conference room, and it's going to depend on what someone gives us. So anyone working on anything? You just ask them, anyone working on anything? Which means like, what problem you dealing with?
Right.
And they'll say that, and then someone will give them a scripture. Well, let's look at this. Let's apply it this way. Let's look here. Let's go into here. So we keep it biblically based, you know. But it's important to know like whoever that is, like we go into that. Even at the end, we take prayer requests. Who's going through what? What can we pray for? Then we kind of get everyone together, get all that. Then we let that go. Right. Again, the other night, I had one person show up last Thursday. right? And it was interesting because great guy, and like so it's him and I, and he in his job, which is kind of a business, but he's been promoted to president. And he's doing this now. He's going to expand. They're going to do, and we got to talk about that. Okay. Because he goes, I always wanted to ask you because that's what I do, right? So he goes, but I just never wanted to cut into the group. And I go, well, here we are, brother. And we were 6:30 to 9:30. We did 3 hours, right? And combining that, man, prayed for each other, did all that stuff because it's a big deal what he's moving into,
Yeah.
right? So you got to be able to combine. For me, I'm a marketplace minister. Okay, like I said, I don't really work in the church thing, but I'm a marketplace guy. Okay, I believe the Spirit, my Spirit, the Holy Spirit coming from me. I just like with the kids, I walk it. People know the way I speak, what I talk about, how I lift it up. I give you another example. So me and that, we have a big kitchen with a pool table and all the stuff here, right? So kind of want to hang out. But I'm talking to this guy who was at our Bible study, right? And he told me something like, "Oh no," and I'm knife handing him. Okay, so knife hand is like, God did not bring this woman into your life. Okay, she's nothing. He brought your wife. Okay, you understand me? Like you stop. And I'm like talking like that to him right in the kitchen. And one of the women who run the whole place here, she's like off in the corner, I guess, and really cool. And so I'm talking to him. He goes, "Okay, man, I'm sorry." I'm like, straighten him out. And then she comes walking up by us, and she goes, "You guys, I just want you to know I love what you're talking about." And then off she goes. So there's these, I call them hidden Christians. Okay. Because you don't know, she could be, she could not be. It's that, do you know or not know? And it's just, and I wasn't trying to make a big scene. I wasn't yelling at him, but I mean, I was stern and you could hear me. So I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Like people know who I am, by these things about how I live. And there's another young man talking to him, working his tail off on a computer doing real estate stuff here. And we get talking, and one day, and he just asked me, "Well, you're a Christian?" I go, "Yeah, you." And we start changing. Unbelievable story this kid has, right? Like we're sharing all this stuff, man. A believer. I mean, it's like you start to connect with these people who you wouldn't know are or are not, but all of a sudden that one little thing, or they see us having a Bible study. Like, what are you guys doing up there? Oh, we have a Thursday night Bible study up there, man. You should come. Like it just kind of rolls out that way. There's not, I don't want to go into like heavy marketing to fill the room. Okay, I got issues with that kind of stuff. So I'll give you an example, Roy. So I'm now we have a men's core group for men's ministry. I was just on that little board, right? So we say do things. I don't run it. Someone else did. Then they left, and then everyone's like, "Well," I go, "How about we don't have a leader for a while?" I'm like, don't put me in the leadership position here. Okay. Like, let's not have a leader for a while. Let's just do what we do. I'll make breakfast because I cook this unbelievable breakfast for 50 guys, when they come and everything. So, and I had these discussions and I do all this stuff for the thing. But then finally, like the pastor's like, "Richard, you need to take leadership here. You gotta
Right.
become, I'm making you the head of this." I'm like, okay. So, you know, it's just one of those things where all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm doing this stuff. And then we have an older pastor and he's like, "Okay, how are we going to get 100 people in here in the next, whatever, 5 years? We're getting like 20." And I'm like, "Why?" I go, "Why does it matter?" "Well, what can we do? We can track this, do this." I go, "All right, let me just give you my point of view. Okay. We're dealing with a bunch of broken men. Okay. We're all broken. That's what we're doing." I go, I don't care how many people, I don't care if it's two or 200. Okay. They're all broken. I'm not going to put on a carnival to bring people in. Okay. And like that's like seeker stuff. I go, "No, we're not doing that. What we're going to do is we're going to go deep in the word and God will handle the breath. He wants to fill this place. He'll fill it. But these guys we need work. We got to work with these men." And that became our discussions at the breakfast. We all eat, chat, and then all of a sudden I get up and I have a topic or I have a story, and we just start going around the room. You get one person to talk, and the whole place opens up. And we had amazing things happen at that breakfast. Doing that kind of stuff. It was really cool. So again, I have a different mindset. I get butts in the seat. I get it. You know what I mean? But
Right.
you, I like growth through conversion. Okay. that's kind of a good way to grow. It worked pretty good for the apostles. I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
We could try that maybe, So I just, and our church doesn't do the heavy marketing thing or anything like that. It really is it's just growing by the Spirit. But I have I'm a little hypersensitive on those methods, if you will,
I see.
So
Okay. Well, at least you're hitting it from a place of just authenticity and, it's from your heart
right,
and this is how you think it should be done. So, I mean,
right,
you can't go
yeah,
wrong with that, man. You're
right,
being led.
right. It's just, yeah, that's all it is. It is. And there's no other. I don't have another explanation. I'm not, for a business, it's not a business. Okay, I
Right.
get it. So if your pastor seems more of a CEO than a pastor, you might want to ask some questions. Okay, if they're running it like a business and they got the beautiful coffee shop and they're going to expand and they're doing this and they're doing all the the stuff right to drive people in, and
Right.
you got to be careful. You got to be careful. Like, is he talking about sin? Is he talking about repentance? Is he talking about healing? Like, what are they? Is it all God focused? Is the pastor's name on the sign outside? Okay, this is the viewpoint of Richard Walsh. If the pastor's name's on the sign out front, keep looking. Because if this is about him, are we messed up?
Wow.
I'm telling you, you don't even need to step foot in that place. And that's my opinion.
What's really sad is I'm sitting here like thinking about things I've seen going, huh, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. Yes.
I never really looked at it that way, but that could be a harbinger of things to come right there when you see that
That's
happening.
right. That's right.
So
So,
let me ask you this: the podcast Sharpen the Spear.
yes.
What is that about then? Is that connected to the men's program due to the title, or is it more connected to the men's group you do, or how are all these things interwoven in
It,
your
it
life?
it's really cool. It's a business podcast.
Okay.
Okay. So I bring on all kinds of experts. It's not um I don't know how to, I don't want to say it's not a Christian podcast, because it is, because I'm one.
Well, right, you're
And I
doing
do
it,
it.
but
But I bring on believers in business, right? And we talk about them. We can talk about God. There's other people. We talk about leadership. We talk about marketing. We talk about scaling. We talk about all kinds of different things, right?
right.
And if they're believers, we'll talk about that aspect. How does that affect? If not, we just keep rolling. It doesn't mean they don't have value. Again, what I always tell people, I go, well, if I only had Christians on my podcast, that wouldn't be very Christian. Okay.
I mean, in theory, that's correct.
Okay, right. I mean, that's kind of how I think about it. It's like saying I only
Right.
do business with Christians. I'm like, well, that's not very Christian,
Not very Christian.
right? So that's just my level of thought. That's all.
Okay.
So it really is. It's a powerful. It's very conversational, just like this. I get people on. There's no plan, but they're amazing, and we do 30 to 45 minutes, or as I say, or until we're finished.
Right.
That's my little caveat with everyone. So, and they usually go about an hour, unless you're not a really good guest, and it may be shorter.
And then you're out of here. Sorry, but
And then
you're getting
I
the
tell them,
gong.
I say,
It's
listen,
over.
if I'm wrapping this up in 20 minutes, you should not be podcasting as a guest.
That's unfortunately that's very true. I
Yes.
understand. I understand all too well. Because now, how long have you been doing the podcast? How many episodes do you have? What's the story on that?
I had a previous one, my ETOP podcast, Escape Human Prison. I had 115 episodes on that. I'm at 86 episodes now on Sharpen the Spear, and I release 3 a week, Monday, Wednesday,
Hmm,
Friday,
that's
which is,
strong. Yeah.
it is. And wow, that's a lot. Like, I recorded 11 episodes last week. I'm doing 11 this week, and not so many the following week. It's a
I
lot.
I no, I understand. I was at that point
Yeah.
once. I know exactly what you mean. The so now are they all interview episodes that you do?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, and they're
100%
all
guest.
pertinent to business in some capacity.
Yes.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Because the book then Escape the Owner Prison, that's
Mhm.
clearly a business type book.
It is. It's the
Okay,
subtitle is The Contractor's New Way to Scale, Regain Control, and Fast Track Growth While Loving Life.
nice. Okay, it's aimed at contractors then.
Yes, because whenever you write a book, you want a niche, because
Can I just say I
everything for
love that you're
everyone.
saying niche and not niche. I love that. So
Yeah, because I'm
don't
America,
change. Don't
America,
change. Yeah.
America.
That's a
The niche.
people make fun of me because I in my groups and stuff I talk about how I can't stand that word, but
Because
please
how
go
can you
on.
say how can you say the riches are in the niches?
See,
If
it
you
doesn't
said the
work.
riches
Right.
are in the niches, I mean
No,
that just yeah, you just
no,
sound a
you're
little limp,
French. It just doesn't work.
you're a little limp wristed. You're a little limp wristed. That's all. We'll leave it at that.
So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's
I
okay.
digress, but please.
But
So
that's
you're in
so
the niche.
yeah. So I niche it great. I get bestseller in 10 categories on Amazon. Really cool. And like I said, I built an academy around that to coach people. Brought it in, and then I kind of like I said iterations on there. I ended up teaming up. Are you familiar with the Benham brothers?
Oh,
Jason and David Benham. They're
that
twins.
it sounds familiar,
A
but I don't
lot
know
of
why.
books.
Yeah.
They're well, I'll call them evangelists, but they're business guys. They were like entrepreneur of the
Okay.
year. They had a huge real estate business, foreclosure business. They had
Oh, that's probably why I know him.
100
Okay.
offices in 35 states. Really big right there on Charlotte.
All right.
Great dudes. Met them in 2016 at a conference at the NOAA conference down in Kentucky. We're going to see when the ARC exhibit opened up.
Hmm.
They had a big conference right before that. We only opened it up, so we kind of tied in with all that. Ken Ham and all them. So I just kind of like I don't know. I don't know how we hooked up. I got their books, and then they said something on Facebook, and I don't know. They sent me books, and then all of a sudden we're like friends, and then we're chatting. And I'm doing all my stuff. Like, dude, we're thinking about coaching. I go, you guys don't coach? You got to coach. So we said, hey, can we bring you on? And we kind of connected, and like we started the coaching program. They wrote Expert Ownership. That's the book. They wrote really really great book. So I kind of reviewed that for them, helped them. Like okay, not help. They wrote it themselves, but like read it and like okay, come on board. And we started the coaching program together. And I was like the main coach, and I'm doing great things. And then all that transpired into me shifting back to Sharpen the Spear, moving into that because we're kind of going not in different directions, but they never really wanted to coach. That's not their thing,
Okay.
right? You know how it is. If something drains you, it's not your
It's
thing.
not your thing.
But me, I can coach and talk business all day, every day. Okay, no problem at all. Okay, you'll just turn it off when you're done with me. But but that's great. And we still have a really close friendship. I go down to do seminars, man. We do all kinds of great stuff together. And they do the what's it called? It's a Life Surge. Life Surge. They got like Priscilla. Um, I'm terrible with names. Anyways, it's Tony Evans' daughter, Priscilla whatever. But anyways, they got all the big hitters, Ed Milet, and they got Nick Vujicic, and
Okay.
they all speak and do all this like a business thing. They're the MCs of that, so they fly all over the place and do that stuff, right? And I'll see them and stuff like that. So they're speakers or authors. They've written like 8 books. They got podcasts. They got all that stuff. So enough of promoting them now, Rory. Okay, we're done with that. But I love them. Dude, they made a huge difference in my life. They really and their father and everything else, man. I love them to death. They're just the best, man. So it's cool to see. They have like 5 and 6 kids each. They did all that stuff. So we're kind of, they're about 10 years younger than me, but I'm a late bloomer. I can't help it. So,
Did they have something to do with the book?
no,
No. Okay.
I did that, and then they were like, "Oh, this is a great book." Like, oh yeah, you should write one. They had already written a bunch of books, but then they wrote, Expert Ownership, and they had a podcast, and I was like the first one on their podcast. Like, dude, you're the perfect person to be the first one on the podcast. This was like 2020. I'm like, okay, so we get on, and they had a few technical difficulties. It took us 3 hours to get the episode done. Okay. And then whatever they get, and then they've got like Ted Cruz on, and they've got Jeremy Camp, and they've got all these big hitters. Like I'm like,
Wow.
that,
Yeah.
like then I was first, which I was, but I wasn't. I'm like, it never published. I'm like, was there some technical difficulties? Because like you, I mean, you waiting to produce mine after all these second stringers get done. Well, these guys, and like you're gonna bring me on, like what's going on? So never found out why, and I don't really care. I got to go on. What was it? 2 years ago, I went down. I was hanging out at David Benham's house with my son. We are doing a seminar down there, and he goes, "We got to do a podcast." So we did a podcast, Expert Ownership podcast, really cool, talking about my son and business, and that was all good. So that's a whole other story with my
So they
son.
just dumped you? I mean,
No,
you
no, I
never
don't know
got
what that one never got on. And probably it's probably okay because there's so many technical. That thing was probably it probably didn't even record. Okay, and they're just
Oh, it was
embarrassed to
that
tell
bad.
me.
I see. It
Okay,
was like A mashup. Okay.
It was just like everything was just, and I'm just sitting there like in my studio, like, oh, we're ready. Okay. It was, and I love it. Okay. It's imperfect action. That's what we
Sure.
preach,
I mean,
right?
this happens.
Take it, do it. That's what we do, so it's all good. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, a lot of fun. But those guys they were instrumental in a lot of things I've achieved and learned. Um, they have a podcast, they have Bible studies, they have all this stuff. And it's just, I love them for their dedication and what they do. And the thing I think I like about them most from a man standpoint, they're the same person in private that they are in public. There's
Hmm.
no difference. And I've been both. I've been with them on all the stuff,
That's cool.
right? Like
That's rare.
that, it is rare. And that's like that. I mean, it's a lot of respect.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. I mean, I have to ask you, sharpen the spear.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, name of the podcast, name of the coaching program. Where does that come from? What does it really mean to you?
Yeah.
And tell me about the program.
So, Sharpen the Spear really goes again, honing entrepreneur warriors on the battlefield of business. Okay. Now, I like the spear. Okay. Like, and we shoot all the time. I love weapons. That's part of our men's group is shooting at my house.
That's awesome.
Okay. Last Saturday was 1,000 rounds downrange, and then we grilled out. I mean, it's manly stuff. It's just amazing.
Nice.
Okay. So we could do that. And then a wrestling match breaks out here and there, and I punch someone in the face. No, I'm just kidding. But
Sounds like a really good time.
it's a good time. The wives stay inside. They stay indoors, Uh, no, but so the spear to me, like if you see the spear behind me, the vertical one,
Yeah.
okay, I can't pronounce the name properly. It's an African name. It's like a Zulu. I think it's Zulu. But the name of it, when you pronounce it in the native language, it replicates the sound it makes when you run someone through with it. That's what it's named after. The
Wow.
sound, and I'm like, okay, and I like hands on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I box and I like that. Okay, I don't mind shooting you if I have to. That's a great equalizer. It's good, but man, if I still hit the bag 3 days a week, super hard, I can work. I have
Nice.
maintained my skills. I'm still a dangerous individual, but so what I want to do is also we have that mindset in the Marine Corps. If you're not fit, you're not fit to lead, right? But you take care of your gear takes care of you.
Right.
I mean, a dull spear, a dull knife. I don't think a dull knife cuts the skin,
Hmm.
right? You've ever heard that saying? So mine is about really honing your gear, keeping that edge sharp all the time, because as an entrepreneur, we are that tip of the spear. We are out front. We are responsible for everything below us. So that's the company, everyone who works on my team, all that stuff. It all ends on me, right? So I have to be prepared always. Okay. We talk about
Okay.
fitness. I train for two, right? So our philosophy is, okay, I'm fit, but if something goes down, I have to carry my wife down or
Right.
up 4 flights of stairs or walk a half mile with her on my whatever. Can I do that? Or am I gonna have a grabber and check out and kill everybody? Right. So there's a responsibility here from a man standpoint for me as a protector.
Sure.
Okay. Provider, protector. I got priest, right? I want to be all those things. So this is a representation for me as the warrior mindset, because business is battle. Every day you're adjusting to conditions. Every day you're pivoting, you're moving, you're trying to readjust, you're flanking, you're doing whatever you have to do to continue to take ground, because there's no static. Okay. Defensive positions are temporary only. Okay. Then we're advancing, or as the great saying from Patton, we are advancing constantly and are not interested in holding our position. Let the Hun do that. Just a question. But it's, so I'm on that, right? So I want that warrior mindset, just kind of it's an ethos, right? And what we do, that it applies not just in business, but as men, as protectors and providers, right? As priests.
Right.
Okay. We need to be these things. And it's the mindset that gets you there. It's focused on the Holy Spirit, right? It's understanding that he's the helper. He's the worker here on earth. And we need him, okay, in us to drive this stuff. But it's like God says, right? Draw close to me, I'll draw close to you. Well, what does that imply? We have to take the first steps, right? He's going to wait. Hey, you come, he'll direct our path, but not until you take a step. Right. So we have to
Yeah,
go into that. We have to forge forward in the business, in our lives, in our faith. We have to do that, right? We have to be able to push forward, and that takes courage, right? So back to that. I mean, it's a it's a great representation for me of courage, right? Now, we know the war is spiritual, right? The primary war is spiritual, but we also know that we fight from victory and not for victory, right? So again, we reassure ourselves with that, and that goes for the marketplace. For me, again, a marketplace minister, I'm out winning souls in the marketplace, which a lot of people deem as evil and whatever, corrupt, greed, all that nonsense,
sure.
right? But it's not. It's like, but it's a tool. The spear can be used for good, it can be used for evil. A gun, same thing. AI can be used for good or be used for evil. What are you going to choose to use it for, right? All the stuff, but it all becomes what are we focused on? And as men, I'm always going, well, what am I focused on with my kids? What am I raising them to become? Not a career. I'm talking character, right? I want that. What character am I developing in my kids? Because they're going to do what they do. When they leave, they go. And it's something as we develop is very interesting. Again, with my oldest was like that. So he's a runner. So he's running cross country when he's young. Now we're getting into high school and he's very good, right? He loves the mile. He does the 3 mile. Started really loving the 800. So I'm like, okay, well, this is great, right? We're working out all the time. I'm a big trainer. I got a gym. I got all this stuff. So he goes, I want to make it to the Junior Olympics. I said, oh, I like that. We had a homeschool cross country team, right? All homeschool, we had like 80 kids on the team. I was a coach for the team, for the middle schoolers. Funny story. You want a funny story? It's not really funny, but so I'm a coach.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you imagine? Do you think I'm an easy coach or kind of a hard coach?
I would guess that you'd be very disciplined as a coach.
Yes,
Let's put
I
it that
am.
way.
Yes, here we have programs, right? I have outcomes. I have experience. I've worked with professional athletes down to your average kid, right? So I've kind of worked with all that. So I'm doing middle school. I had 28 kids. And then you have the high school, and you have the high school coach, a woman, and they run, 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 run. All they do is run. Okay. I have a different philosophy. And I was a cross country runner in high school and a good one. Right. So I get it, but I've trained, done all this stuff. So I said, okay, they do like a 2.5 hour workout. We do 1 hour. We run a little bit, but then I work on all the basics. I'm doing core strength. I'm doing body weight training. I crush them in an hour. Okay. Just crush them. All right. Every workout, that's like that. We're doing bear crawls up and down giant hills. Okay. Cross country runners. Okay. And then one day, one of the high school kids, I overheard him. He's standing by. He goes, "Why don't we train that hard?" Oh, that kind of set her off a little bit. Okay, so we came down to this is just so you kind of know who I am. But so we're having this little meeting, okay, among all the coaches and stuff, and they're demanding that I make the kids run more. Okay, I go, they're not going to run more. They're not going to. They run enough. They're going to be fine. This was the Monday, Saturday was the Midwest Championships. Okay, so I'm like, okay, and then the other men kind of were not. No one had my back. Okay, let's just put it that way.
Wow. Okay.
I'm like, you, and I'm looking at him thinking, so I'm like, no. So we had it all. I'll leave all those details. I was off the team. Let's put it that way. Okay, I left a little frustrated, a little angry because when someone's telling you like they've been to like 2 seminars for coaching and they ran like 35 years ago, they were a runner, and they're trying to tell me they know a lot. I'm like, I've trained. You just look like dude, I've trained like professional, the Bears, the Blackhawks. I've worked with these guys, these ones. I've got girls on international soccer teams. Like I double knee replacement, get them on their back. I'm like, okay, yeah, okay. Your 2 seminars are probably amazing, and you know everything. So I left. All right.
Tell me
So
how you really feel. I mean, stop
so
holding back right now.
so I didn't go to the championships, right? Now my kids are running and everything else too, right? So the championships were on that Saturday. Okay, I had 28 middle schoolers, right? Now they're supposed to run more, right? That's how it's going to make them better.
Right.
Guess what they did? 27 of the 28 PR'd personal records that Saturday. 27, 28 PR'd, the best race I ever had. Then they had the banquet at the end of the year. We always have a banquet. So
Were you
this
invited
is
to that, or were you just gone?
I'm invited. I didn't go. You know, my wife went because my son's up and all this stuff. So, but my wife's like, they all the kids just stood up and talked about you, like, and thanked you. So
Oh,
I'm just like, how cool. And they sent me cards, like, thank me for all the training. And it's just, I'm like, that's what they're going to remember. Someone who
yeah,
actually pushed them,
right.
got more out of them than they thought they could give. I mean, there's a lot of tears during workouts. I mean, legit, like, this is really painful. No
Yeah,
one died. Okay. But there's so much better because she was focused on talent. 80 kids, you probably got three who are talented. Okay. I go, if that's the mission here, what are we doing?
right.
I'm like, these kids are here to run, push themselves harder than they could do themselves, right? I said, this is an experience for them. They're not going collegiate, they're not going to the Olympics. Okay, they're like homeschool kids, man. Like we're here because they're getting out, doing this stuff, and that was my goal. Like I want them to have that experience. I want them to be pushed as hard as they can go. I don't care what he can do or she can do. I want what they can do. If I can pull that out of someone, that's what it's about. So that's been kind of my thing and the ethos in business as well. So I go into this and I turn these businesses around for these guys in a very short order. Get them again. I'm saving families, right? Getting them back to their family, giving them the freedom they want, profit, freedom, and impact. If they're profitable in their business, okay, they're going to get freedom if they're doing it right, but then they can make impact their families, impact the communities, everyone around them, right? That's why we're really in business. That's why it's a marketplace. It's a ministry for me because we can make a difference. You have incredible influence as a business owner. I don't care if you have 5 people working for you and that's it. Okay, you're in a position of respect because most people would never take that risk and go
Absolutely.
out and try to make something happen, right? So you're in a position of authority, you're in a position of influence. Right now, as a believer, you're in a position to witness, right? And it's how you run your business. It's kingdom mindset when we run the business, right? We understand that. Who are we truly serving here? I get the customer, I understand. We're serving the Lord. Okay. That's who we're really serving, and that will come through to the customer and they will know that. So when you start to see that and dial that in, that's what starts to make a difference, right? That's what gives you that purpose and that fulfillment in your business. And that's what I want to bring. Again, you don't have to be a believer to be coached by me in business,
Sure.
but you may become one during the process. Okay. It
Not
just can
making any
happen.
promises, but yeah,
No,
it could happen.
and like I say, biblical principles work whether you're a believer or not. And if we build with biblical principles, we never go wrong. We're doing
Yeah.
the right things the right way, and that's what I apply in the business.
I love that. I appreciate you giving it that kind of a breakdown to it too. Like you said about the kids, you're training this group of kids and they're working hard, they're doing different things, but they're working hard, right?
Right,
And so the other kids look over and go, how come we're not working that hard? How come we're not
right,
doing all that?
right.
Um, I think, kids, of course, but when you get to adulthood and, your brain gets addled and clouded with all of the other
Mm-hmm.
nonsense that shouldn't be in there
Mm-hmm.
at the core of who we are, especially as men, fathers and husbands. I mean, we crave that. We
Yep.
want that challenge. We want to work hard. We want to be worked hard. We want that accomplishment at the end of it. But there's so many things that get in the way, when you get older. So, as a coach, how do you, what's a good first step? You know what I mean? As we're talking to our audience, what's a good first step for the guys who are like, just in a cloud and they want to get better and they want to like listen to what you're talking about right now, but they need to start going a different direction.
So here's what it's a 3-word saying, and probably heard it before, but it's called "do hard things." Okay, and
Okay.
this doesn't mean you have to like, hey, I'm going to bench 450 pounds and I can bench 150 right now. It's not that, right? It's like it may not even be physical. It's you have to start with little challenges to push yourself to get out of the proverbial comfort zone, right? Like you have to start getting wins. Here's the problem when you're in life and you're inundated with the world, okay? You're pretty much beaten down on a daily basis. As
Absolutely.
men, you've seen it, right? We've been around
Oh
I've
yeah.
been around long enough. the last 30 years, 40 years, how I've made it through, by the grace of God, right?
Right.
And I just, maybe because I'm too dumb to listen to people. I don't know, but that was a problem earlier. But you look at that, like every day the battle's against you. I mean, and that's the enemy.
Yeah.
That is Satan. He wants you to believe that what all the feminists say you are, right? All this kind of stuff. It's really amazing what we have to go up against every day. And whether we talk about, I think before we came on air, about persecution,
Hmm.
right? As a believer, and I did this jokingly, but it's true. The only thing we're guaranteed as a Christian on this earth is persecution.
Yep.
The only thing we're guaranteed. So you got to know that that's prepping. That's prepping for the game, right? I'm gonna go. It's like running, like cross country. Every step is suffering. There's nothing else to do in running except suffer with every single step. And if you don't love suffering, don't run. Okay, because it's just
I've never
misery.
heard it described like that. I
Okay,
can't disagree with you,
it
but
is
I've never heard it described like that.
the runner's high. Never experienced it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've run 15 miles. I've run speed. I've done everything. Right. So all that stuff.
Right.
Even my son, he's in the Marine Corps now. Right. Real good runner, but he kind of like, I'm kind of done running. I want to box. And I'm like, oh, you sure you don't want to do jujitsu or something like that? You know, he goes, no, I want to box. I go, oh man, you got to tell your mother. I get, cause she's just going to hate me. She's going to think it's all my influence because I buy him. I go, he goes, no, I really, I go, okay, well, you tell her. And then she's like, really? She goes, yeah, it's not me. I said, let's do jujitsu. Let's roll around on the mat. Let's do that. You don't have to get punched in the face. By the way, in case you can't tell how I'm rather attractive, I have like 7 breaks in my nose. It was detached from my face. I have plates and wires. I have, it's kind of a lot of surgery in my face from boxing. So that's why she's a little hesitant to have my son do it.
Well, that must be
Anyways,
why
like,
you look like you're so much younger than you are, man.
that's it. Yes, there's
Because
all
you've
that.
redone all this. You've
There's all
remodeled.
that. Yeah, I gotta send that guy a thank you card. Yeah. Well, look, it's holding up. It's been like 35 years. You're awesome. But my son, so he really wanted to do that. So I'll train you. He goes,
Hmm.
you got to train me. So I trained him and he became a really good boxer. We did a year and a half and he's in the ring and all that good stuff. And then he's like, I want to go in the Marine Corps. Well, actually, he wanted to go in the Navy. He wanted to be a SEAL. Who doesn't, right?
Oh,
Everyone wants to
yeah.
be a Navy SEAL. Navy's greatest recruitment tool ever in the history of the Navy. Oh, yeah, we'll give you a Navy SEAL contract. You bet. You'll be painting battleships after the first month, man. You're gonna do nothing. You're never gonna make it through this. Okay. so 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 so
Wow.
this
All right.
this is just this is just funny. Okay. So my son's getting his Eagle Scout. Okay. So he's doing a scouting thing. He's gonna get his Eagle. So we have the ceremony that day, and him and I go to lunch before the ceremony. And we're sitting there in the car, we're like having something, and he goes, hey Dad, I got something I gotta tell you. No dad wants to hear that
Right.
from their son. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I want to go in. I want to, I want to be a SEAL. And I'm like, oh, okay. I go, you do know what that entails? He goes, I do. I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. So I'm thinking, okay, we'll go talk to a recruiter and we'll do that. And he goes, but I need you to train me. You have to train me to get ready to go. I'm like, okay. So we go talk to the Navy recruiter. This is during some of the COVID stuff too. And they still required the shot. He's like, well, I'm not getting that. So I'm not going to the Navy. And we're walking out. And of course, I talked to the Marine Corps recruiter. They're in the same hallway there. This guy, Sergeant Vines, he's staff sergeant now, but awesome dude. And he's like, he goes, hey, man, if you ever, I go, well, I know I was a Marine. I'm not going to make my kid do what I do. He doesn't do what he's going to do. He wants to do that. Then he realizes he can't do that. So he's very upset. He doesn't get to, go make an effort. And he could probably, I know he could achieve it if he wanted to. But so he came to me about 2 weeks later. He goes, Dad, I'm not done. Let's go talk to the Marines. So we go, and he had scored super low on the ASVAB. That
Oh, yeah. I know.
like a 16, okay, on the practice test. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, well, you have to understand, we don't do standardized testing. We're homeschoolers. This has nothing to do with this
Right.
is nothing. So we go to the Marine, and then Sergeant Bynes was like, hey man, you come here every day and take a practice test. I'll help you do whatever. I go, you know what? That's good. I think I'm gonna get him a tutor. I got someone who could help him a little bit. So we did like 2 90-minute tutoring sessions with the guy who did that. 1 month later, 30 days later, scored an 89.
Wow.
Okay. That's what the
Hey.
recruiter said. He's like, well, dang. I'm like, I told you, it's just, This is not, now you understand why we homeschool.
Right.
Okay? He's got high critical thinking skills and everything else. So, anyways, goes in infantry, but now he's going, oh, be recon. I want to be MARSOC. Okay, Marine Special Operations Command, right? So he tier one. He wants to be tier one. So got to be in 2 years, got to be corporal, all this stuff. So he goes in as infantry, but then he gets what's called the MSG billet, which is Marine Security Guard. They guard the embassies around the world. Okay. I didn't know this at the time, but it's the third most difficult school in the Marine Corps. You got
Really.
MARSOC, Recon, and then MSG. Okay. I mean, it's like serious business. So he goes through all this stuff. Okay. So, oh, we're going to train. So to give you an idea of how we trained, okay, we did 3 a days for 7 months straight.
Wow,
So,
Dad.
okay,
Dad, help me out. No,
we should
I'm a
have done a little
Varia.
more, but so it's conditioning in the morning, right? So he's a little strength conditioning work at like 6 a.m. Then we half hour break, we get home, and he goes and runs 6 to 10 of a very hilly course. He runs 6 to 10 miles, and then in the afternoon we go and we get in the pool. Okay, we also built an obstacle course at our house. 20-foot rope climbs into trees, carrying 88-pound logs, the whole deal, right? So I built all that out for him and stuff, and that's what we did. So we trained. And I told him, I go, this is not for basic training. Basic training will be your recovery. Okay. So you're going to be able to recover. We're training for the recon qualifications.
Right.
So I had him in the pool, 500 meters in your camis, you're swimming underwater, 50 meters, did everything, made all the, and he he could swim 45-minute tread in water. You got to do it all, right? So we got all those quals. He passed too, part of this training, right? Going through all this apartment. People watch like, man, you guys. So his friends would call and they'd be like, let's go hang out. He goes, I can't. He goes, why? He goes, well, I'm training. And they go, all day? He goes, yes, all day.
Yes.
I mean, but that's his discipline, right? So anyway, he got in there. He goes through SOI, School of Infantry, gets through that. Very, very difficult. Then he gets to MSG school down in Quantico, does it. 65 guys are dropped from the course. Okay, they're just dropping left and right. They drop them throughout everything in the Marine Corps. He's there. But then he gets it, right? We go down for the graduation. The Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps is there. Super cool. Like, that's not a normal thing. But he's there, so we meet him. My son's doing it. It's just unbelievable, right? Now he's off in Europe somewhere. I can't say, but he's doing this.
Right.
But all that. So here's the cool part. Okay. So he's back in January before he ships off. He's done with MSG school. He's there a few weeks. He comes back in January. And I was on a podcast called Master Your Life. And then she was on mine. She wanted to interview my son and me together. So this is a really cool moment. So we get on the podcast and we're doing this thing. And he does most of the talking. She's asked him all these questions, right? And this is the cool thing about being a dad. Okay. Like, so I'm listening to him. And she's asking things about like, well, how do you go through this and not quit? That's one of the things. Like all these guys, he's like, well, that's not who I am. And she's a high achiever, right? Fitness, all this stuff. And she's like, man, that's well, I just would tell myself, I mean, they're quitting, but that's not who I am. And he does it. And he went through some stuff, right? And then he's talking about discipline, why we have this, and he's sharing this stuff. He goes, she goes, well, how are you strong enough to do this stuff? And everything. He goes, well, this is exactly how he said it. Well, when you ask God for strength, he gives you burdens. And that's when, my boy, it's like, that's wisdom. Wow. Okay. It's a 20-year-old, right? He's saying this stuff. And then she asked, well, why do you want to do this? And one thing he's like, well, I really want to be able to protect my family with both my hands and a weapon. I'm like, and I'm looking at him, Rory, and I'm like, okay, here's the difference between you and I at 20 years old. I did really cool, hard things to do the thing. There's nothing past achieving it. I was not thinking about a family, a future. Yeah. I was thinking about getting through the next minute. Okay. And he's all about the long game. Everything he does, like now he's saying, yeah, I'm thinking maybe U.S. Marshals when I get out doing 6 years, going to do MARSOC on probably do. And he's just, I'm like, and he's a goal achiever. He gets what he sets his mind to. Struggled reading early on. Couldn't read real well, right? Guys on the cross country team were talking smack, like really making fun of him, right? Now, all of a sudden, I kid you not, it was like 8 months later, he's devouring like 700-page books every week. Okay, he's a voracious reader, writes, does all the silver still. He's a really good artist. But I mean, just that interview on that podcast, just listening to him about, oh, I've wanted to go in the military. I think I was about 7. I went, what? And I started thinking about the pictures he drew, and it's kids, right? He goes, well,
Right.
we love to fight with sticks. He's kind of telling the whole story of how we raised them, and we did all this stuff, and we reenact stuff, and we, taught them how to shoot. And I'm like, you don't realize this stuff, Roy, till you look back. We talked about hindsight before. I
Right.
kind of go, wow, like that's that, right? That's fruit. Seeing them go forward is really it's quite an honor to be able to have that podcast with them. If we never did anything again, it's like that. I saved it, obviously, right? I've got it. It's just and I sent it to him when it was published, and he goes, not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. 'Cause
Those are some very, very cool moments. Very,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
got to be proud. I know you are. I can see it all over
yeah,
your face.
yeah,
You and your wife got to be proud. I mean, he
yeah,
doesn't show up that way on accident, man.
yeah.
You know?
It's something else. I mean, and it does make, because you wonder. I mean, as a man, as a father, what I came from. Because
Yeah.
listen, I mean, he came along when I was 39 years old. Okay, he's my first guy at 39. If that happened at 20, I would have created 6 burdens on society. Okay, that's what it would. That would have been a disaster. Okay, you don't want me
Yeah.
doing anything with kids in my 20s and even my early 30s, right? So again, God's got a way of just his time is perfect, right? We we
Right.
we know that, but it's the whole culmination of all this stuff. Been married 25 years now, going on 26. Like I said, I beat all the odds. All my friends,
Congratulations.
they
That's
never
fantastic.
thought like, and it is a good thing. And I do tell people this whenever someone's talking about getting married and these young guys, and I'll say, you do understand marriage is work forever. It's forever work. I'm not kidding. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm saying, like, dude, you have to work at this relationship your entire life. Okay. That's just the nature of the beast here.
Right. It's
You
forever.
know?
You know?
Yeah. I mean, you're committing to that, but it's easy to say, but now you got to do it.
Right.
You got to show up. You got to be there, and I'm not perfect. I'm not the perfect dad or anything like that. I mean, I've, my kids can just ask my kids. I'm sure they can give you lots of scenarios that occurred, and there was dad.
I love it, man. I
Yeah.
really do. I love that advice too, for the folks who are maybe thinking about changing things around is do tough things. It's real simple, but it's also very, very, very basic and pure. Do tough things. Get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, you gotta,
Well,
you have to. That's where you grow, and you need to feel that kind of angst when you're going to do something hard, like you don't want to do it. Like I do that in the morning, like going to the gym.
yeah.
There's days like I got to hit the, I'm like, I can't, so I create a little routine. Okay. So now, and this is how this may help. Okay. So I work out every morning, like 5:30 at the gym, either hitting the bag, doing battle ropes, doing all those hard things. So I learned that at night, I've had a hard, long day. I'm getting ready for bed. I'm like, man, there ain't no way I'm going to the gym in the morning. I am beat. Well, I called myself and said, okay, we don't talk like that. I won't say anything. There's no decisions being made on what's going to happen the next day and that next morning, right? So I have a whole routine in the morning. I'm a 4 a.m. riser. Okay. So I get up at 4 o'clock. I drink 32 ounces of water, right? I have a functional mushroom coffee I drink, but I'm gonna leave it at that because you got your coffee sponsor. And I drink that. Okay. So, but I drink
I,
that. Nope. Yep. Hold it up. See, I'm giving an extra plug here. Shameless
hmm
plug.
hmm
So I made a decision. Okay, I do my Bible study then too. So I get that, drink my water, do that, start the coffee, got in the French press, doing that, and I start my Bible study, do my Bible in a year reading, then I do another sermon, I do stuff like that. As soon as that second cup is done, that's when I decide, am I going or not going? Let's go. Every day it's a go, but I don't have a commitment until that second cup is finished. That is the morning routine. I get up, change, out the
No
door we
kidding.
go
All right.
every day, and it works. And then the second level of that, now when I'm going to the gym, I've only committed to the warm up. Okay. So I've only got the warm. I'm going to warm up.
Okay.
If I'm
All
not
right.
feeling it, okay, I don't have to work out. Because guarantee if you break a sweat in 10 minutes, you're going to work out. You ain't turning around and going home. I
Right.
have days where I got in 3 rounds on the bag and I'm like, I'm toast. There's no, I drained the tank yesterday way too much. And I'll, then I'll adjust with that. But I get after it. And I'm a little, the heavy bag is an opponent. Okay.
Are you
So
a little intense? Is that the word
I
we're
could
looking for?
show
A
you
little
a video
intense on
right
the
now.
bag?
I can show you right now on my phone, like me hitting the bag and the sound and the noise. And like,
I love it.
let me put it this way. No one talks to me at the gym. Okay. I am rocking that thing. And it's an opponent. When I throw a straight right hand to the body, Rory, you know what I'm thinking about?
And
Tou-
opponent.
Touching their spine with my fist.
Nice.
I
All
want to
right.
go through them. Okay, that's every punch is hard, and I do that. So that's my hard thing, but that's my little morning routine. Then I come home, I prep my food, I get ready for the day. I make my breakfast, I make my lunch, then out the door and off to the office and podcasting and coaching, and the day is good. But that's the way you start a day.
Yeah.
We are defined by our rituals.
Now you're going to sit here and talk about punching through a guy's stomach and hitting him in the spine. And then in the very next breath, you're going to tell your wife, it's really not my fault that my son wants to box.
Well,
Brother, I'm sorry, but
it's
this
more is
podcast just
caught than
became
taught, right?
exhibit one, man.
But more is caught than taught. So he's seen me hit the bag.
Right.
Okay. And it's an inspiration. It's
Of
an
course it is.
inspiration. I can't help it. It's an unintended consequence. That's what I'm chalking it up to.
I
But he did
love it.
really well. He did. So even in the Marine Corps, right, he's boxing, he's doing all this stuff. So it's just, it, it was, I didn't know like how tough he is. You don't know. And the first day he got in the ring, like we went to this gym and we're like upstairs and it's this old, it's perfect. It's like an old Rocky gym, man. I go, this is it. And
That's
so,
nice.
so he gets in, he's got this other guy who's relatively new, but he boxes more, complete jackleg, like just trying to kill my son,
Oh,
like
wow.
not taking it easy, not working with him. And D's just taking it, man, his hands, and this guy's going. So whatever, this happens a couple times, then that guy kind of disappears. They get a new gym. This kid shows up like a year later at the gym, and there's D'Angelo, and he's going to get in the ring and spar with D'Angelo. It's a beautiful thing, Rory.
It's
D'Angelo beat him pillar to post. I mean, he just handed him his keister, just pop, pop, pop. I mean, he worked him for like 3 rounds. The kid just went tail between his legs, left the gym. Didn't see him come back. You just think you're going to hear him bully people. Like, oh, it was a beautiful thing. And my son, if you knew him, one of the pastors at church nicknamed him Silent Power because he never talks smack.
Oh,
You
wow.
can talk smack to him, he just and he'll just go and beat you, and he'll just leave. He'll beat you in the ring, he'll beat you running, and he won't say a word. Right. And by the way, we did get him to the Junior Olympics. We trained for a year to get him to the Junior Olympics for the 800, and he made it. He had
Good.
to run in an older weight class, which older age group,
Age
not
group.
weight class. Age group.
Weight
So
class boxing,
he's like
right.
14. Yeah,
Running.
I get them all confused. They're all the same, but running's suffering, boxing's enjoyment.
There you go.
But he did that for both discus and the 800, which is awesome. So that
That
was
is
just
awesome.
another thing he achieved. So, but yeah, really interesting just watching everything that he went through. And you see this. Oh, on the podcast, this I'll wrap this up. So she asked him like, well, why'd you do this? Like, why are you doing the things you do? He goes, well, and that's how he says it. He goes, well, my father did these things, so I thought I really respect my father, so I'll do them. And they haven't led me wrong yet. And I'm just sitting there like, dude, you give me the fist bump.
Right.
It's like, I mean, that's just like super cool, man. Like it's that thing where you're like, and I've learned not to say the proud word, just for my own. So I'm like, I am so pleased. God, did
Nice.
God say he's proud of Jesus? This is my son in
Yeah.
whom I'm well pleased.
Ah,
He
okay.
didn't say I'm proud of him because that's kind of pride's kind of not a big good thing in the Bible.
Right. No, I remember that.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm not casting dispersion. I'm just saying I learned as of late, like I say, I'm really pleased with him. Like man, you please me, man. You like, this is because I am, it's better than being proud.
Right.
Being pleased is like, dude, there's more joy in please than there is in pride. There's a lot of joy in pride. I know
That's
that's
fair.
the version, but for
That's
me,
fair. I mean, honestly, if your kid could have dialed up top 5 answers on the board that a dad wants to hear from his kid, at any point in time, let alone during an
Right.
interview on a podcast. I
Yeah.
mean, he just kept chalking them off.
Yeah. It was just, I'm like,
Every
oh,
answer you
just,
gave me was like ding,
yeah.
ding, ding.
I'm like, wow. I'm just, I chimed in a few things. I'm like, why? Just ask him another question.
Right.
I'm
Let
enjoying
him
the
keep talking
conversation. Yeah. It was great. So,
because this is good stuff. Let him keep talking
yeah.
and get it on recording because I want to be able to play this back. Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
very much. It's
Yep. That's
brother. That's
it.
great. Listen, you obviously have crafted a family that you can be very proud of. And I love that. I mean, honestly, just
Thank you.
if you're on the video version, folks, just the last 20 minutes of you just talking about your kid, man. I mean, you're beaming.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's you are just
Well,
lit up, brother. I
and it
love
is
seeing
all
it.
my kid. It
Great.
is all my kids. I know he's the oldest, right? So he's there, but
Yeah.
my daughters, my sons, what they're doing, who they are, it's just, they're all different. All right. Again, we don't have any molds that we're
Sure.
popping everyone out
No,
of,
of
right? But
course.
each one has this unique, my, one of my 19-year-olds, we're standing at the kitchen counter one night and he's like, "Hey dad, I'm going to move out." I go, "Oh yeah. Okay. When?" He goes, "In the morning." And I went, "Oh, okay." Came up with his 2 bags. See ya. And he moved.
He really
And
moved on?
he really moved out. I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
oh, there's this big wave surfer, Laird Hamilton, and he was talking as a Christian, like you're asking about kids and how do you know if you did things right? And he goes, well, they just leave. He goes, there's no apron strings, there's no coming, just like they just go and they're good and they achieve and they go do their thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's my kids. They're just go. They don't like my daughters. Hey, you stay here till you're married. That's how my
Sure.
wife and I feel. Like, why do you need to go anywhere? Put 100 grand in the bank. Go get that good job. Put that money in the bank, man. You prepare for that future.
Yeah.
Like you do that. Like that's how we think. But my boys have all been working. Most of my kids have worked from about 9, 10 years old. One of my sons, oh my, he's just the kid working 100 hours a week, just turned 18.
Nice.
I mean, so they work, right? They've
Right.
got that ethic as well. And I'm like, that was one thing that my dad had taught me, right, about working. That was probably, I mean, he did a lot of good things and goofy things, but that that is why I'll never starve. And I tell my kids the same thing. If you get a work ethic, if you can, I don't care if you got to clean gutters. I
Yeah.
mean, my one son's literally pumping poo on the farms, like 20 million gallons, right, in 2 months. I mean, that's what he does. Like, you want the smell of that coming in the house? Well, but I'm saying he's not afraid to work. They work,
Right.
and that ethic, whether it's on the keyboard or on a shovel, it doesn't matter. Work is work, and if you have that, if your kids have that, you can rest assured, like they're going to be okay for the most part, right?
Love it.
But that's one of those key things that I think I find, Rory, I think the number one plague in our country is fatherlessness. Okay, it truly is. I see it, and these kids have nothing. And judge this however you want. They hero worship single mothers. These women, you talk about identity, it's become they introduce themselves as a single mother. You ever think about that?
Yeah, that's a source of pride now.
Right.
Yeah,
And
as
I'm like,
opposed to an unfortunate circumstance.
right. And I'm like, do you have any idea? Like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, whew, I, yeah, it's hard. That is the old bait and switch right there.
yeah, it is.
And I think you don't need them. I'm like, man, I tell women often when we have these discussions about these things, I said, because they don't know what bait and switch means to start with. But I'm like, listen, you're told you can go be all this, you can have the job, you can raise kids, you can be the CEO, you can do all this. Well, I'm telling you, the bait and switch is that doesn't work. Okay. Because what they took you from, okay, every queen has the king's ear. Okay. So understand this. You are in a place of unbelievable, it's motherhood, is one of the most noble professions, if you want to call it that,
Sure.
noble endeavors you could ever do. You influence your children, you develop their character, you prepare them to contribute, right? You have that with your family. Like, there's no higher calling. And you want to go run some company or work for the man, okay, and have to do all this stuff every day when, like, you got the power here Do you understand? They took the power away from you. You bought the lie and you left. And now your kids, or you don't have a father at all. You don't get married, but then you have kids and then you do the whole
Right.
thing. And then we see the mess. We work with these guys, right? I talk to these kids. I try to help them, try to give them that purpose, try to give them something, a role model or something, right? Some sense of belonging because they have none. They're just angry, right? I mean, it's crazy what you see. And man, I could, oof, yeah,
And we could go on forever about that, man. I know.
I know. That's why I'm stopping.
I know. I hear you, and I feel for you too, because unfortunately, there's no good stopping point on that. Because it
There
just
isn't.
it just is. Things are the way they are, and uh, I think the best way, and I think we both agree on this, the best way to handle any of this stuff right now is just you got to take care of your own. You got to take care of your house, and when your house is in order, then you can work on your community. You know,
That's it. Mike, when
and
when
then move on up.
when D'Angelo arrived, I was my wife works at the Chicago Board of Trade at the time.
Hmm.
The day he arrived was the last day she worked.
That's
Okay, that
cool.
was 2005.
Yeah, that's great though.
Okay,
Yeah.
like and I'm telling, and I don't say that to Brad. What I'm saying is, when I say what I said before about the women, that's out of love, and I'm so like hurt for them.
Yeah.
Like you missing it. Like you don't. I mean, it's when you watch and you raise these kids. I'm just telling you that whole experience for me it is just I never could have anticipated it. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, have kids, don't have kids. I never thought, again, remember me, I'm the guy who's just trying to achieve something. I wasn't looking forward. Okay. So I was not looking at my kids when they're 19 or 20 years old.
Right.
I'm looking at six kids. I put us all in the family room on an egg crate mattress so I didn't have to go up and down stairs all night.
There you go.
Okay. And I'm just reaching over, sticking bottles in mouths because I didn't want to get up. Okay. I mean, it was like insanity the first few years, right? But I'm thinking get through the night. Okay, and that kind of stuff. But when
Yeah.
you look at the bigger picture, this is what people have kind of lost sight of. What are the outcomes
Yeah.
of this kind of, I'll call it behavior, right?
Yeah. You just got to keep fighting the good fight, brother. It
That's all we
sounds
can
like you're
do.
sounds like you're doing that with sharpen the spear.
That's it. That's
That's
what we
beautiful.
do.
That's
We have
beautiful.
to. We have to.
All right, man. We're gonna have to call it. We're gonna have to wrap it. You and I could just sit here and just keep on
Yeah.
going. I know we
Yeah.
could, because I think we agree on like 99.9% of the stuff,
Yeah.
which I love. I love what you're doing, though. You're
Thank
leading
you.
by example in your own life on top of everything else,
Right.
when it comes to your faith, when it comes to your family. And that has to give you just a ton of credibility with the guys you're coaching. And it's really no surprise to me that you're as successful as I'm guessing
Thank you.
you are with the
Thank
way
you.
it's all
Yes.
working,
Yeah.
because it really seems like you have it dialed in and going on. Let me
Amen.
let me just give you one final. This is for
Let's
you.
do it.
Boom, couple of minutes. Whatever you need. But one last thing. Is there anything I didn't ask you? Is there anything that maybe you just want to drive home one time real hard, or maybe a leave behind? For everybody, some encouragement for folks who are just having a really hard time. A lot of people are going to hear us talking like this, and they're doing the same thing we are. Yeah, I know, and maybe they don't know where to go. What's your last parting shot? All right, from the boxer over here to my audience on your way out.
Really quickly, I'll hit my five pillars. Okay. So the five F's. All right.
Yep.
It's faith, family, finances, fitness, and friendships. And that's the order. Okay. Faith first. God is first above all, above your wife, above your kids, above everything in your life. You need to understand that God is number one. All right. And that's hard for people. Family is next. Okay. Now, in your family, there's an order too. It's you and your spouse, and then your children. Okay. Take it from me. We don't want to raise tyrants. So when my kid runs up and mom, and I'm having a conversation with my wife, I'll be, whoa, 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 buddy. All right, we're talking. As soon as we're done, we're going to talk to you. Okay, you develop that, right? That's an order. If you don't teach your children that level of respect, that's how much respect you have for your spouse.
Yeah.
Okay, that's critical. That is that one thing right there. Okay, will give them an amazing life in their relationship when it comes time for relationships, right? It'll be really good. Okay. Next is finances. Pay attention to your money. This come from a guy who didn't. Okay. And when you don't pay attention to something, you know where it goes? Away. Don't pay attention to your spouse, they go away. Don't pay attention to your money, it goes away. Don't pay attention to your friends, they go away. Right?
Right.
That's how it works. You got to pay attention. Okay. Finances, it's a huge divorce thing. Number one thing people fight over is money. You're the provider. Talking to men here, you're the provider. Provision needs to be in the front of your mind. Okay. It's a security thing for women, especially, right? Number one human core need is security. So finances, figure it out. Not here to tell you how or what, but figure it out. I do that in our coaching program as well, from the business standpoint. Next is going to be fitness. Fitness isn't just physical. I love that part. Okay. But it's also nutritional, right? Fit, think of fit. You're fit, your mind is fit. You're fit for this position, right? I'm fit to be a father. Again, it doesn't mean I'm all jacked. It means that my mind is correct. I understand the obligations in front of me and how I'm going to carry this out to produce the best that I possibly can with God's help. Right. So that's fitness. But still do the physical. Okay. It's fun.
All right.
And the last one is friendships. Okay. Now I have a standing joke with my kids, most people. I said, I say, if all my friends were on one hand and I lost three fingers, I'd still have all my friends. Okay. Because I have like two. Okay. So my friend list is very small, true friends. Okay. So it takes a second to get that joke, but that's because I made it up. And that's my warped sense of humor. But but it really is understand your circles, right? You got people, I call my trench buddies, guys who got my six, right? No matter what, they're going to be there. That's why there's only a couple.
Yeah.
Because when you really, put the fire to it, you're going to see. You're going to see the dross and you're going to see the gold, right? So we got to understand that. But we also have, friends and acquaintances and church people and all that stuff. I'm a sociable guy, believe it or not, I'm an introvert. Okay. I really, shocking, I know.
Not
Shocking.
buying it.
No, it's true. But so those five things: faith, family, finances, fitness, friendships. Think about those, because this is what makes up a kind of a balance in our life. If you don't, if some of this, and they're not equal, okay, it's not a certain percentage of each. I mean, it is, but they're not equal.
Okay.
Right? We need to understand that, but they're focuses that we want to be able to have. So I help business owners with is, if the business is a hot mess, can't run itself, you don't get the 5 Fs. I'm telling you, it's awful. It just keeps pulling you, and you can't, it's all messed up. So just focus on that. Make that kind of the goal where you want to get to. What do I do for my finances? What am I doing for my friendships? What do I do for fitness? Yeah, I went last week. I bought my Planet Fitness membership for $10 a month. I'm going to use it one of these days. Monday. I'm going to start on Monday. Right? Let's keep paying that. So you got bad finances and no fitness. Okay. You're paying for something you never go to, and you're not working out. Okay. Put the pizza down.
Just had to lay up Planet Fitness on the way out, man.
I just had to just Uncle alarm. I got them. Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
my
that's my parting thoughts, Rory. And this has been awesome. So thank you.
This has been so much fun, man, having you on. It's been great. All right, listen. I mean, wow. Author, podcaster, CEO of Sharpen the Spear, the husband, father to 6 kids, all at once. Richard Walsh. Richard, thank you for coming on today, man. Sharing all your stories, motivating people, giving them great advice and guidance, and just a whole lot to think about, man. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming on.
Rory, been my pleasure. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for giving me leeway. Give me some long rope.
Absolutely. You were great. So you know what? I love it. I love it. Folks, this has been another episode of the Power Man Podcast. And when we bring powerful men like this on here to talk about these really powerful subjects, it's for you. And I know that I can speak for Richard in this. We both want nothing more than to help you in your mission to, be better tomorrow than you are today at protecting, providing for, and leading your families. Be a better man, a better father, a better husband tomorrow than you are today, because you're worth it, because you have value. And at some point, folks, you just have to believe it. Until next time.